We are live. Hello, everyone. This is Jax West from on Facebook. We have Stephen Avery Project, MAM Gossip, and then Justice with Jax. We are live on our YouTube page for Justice with Jax. That we are trying to move the live videos that I have been doing regularly on Facebook over here to YouTube because the service on Facebook isn't all that great. Justice with Jax, hello, Cat, covers any kind of injustice, not just wrongful convictions or a specific case. Hello again, Gonk. And I decided today we would talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. This is something completely different than many of the videos I've been doing over the years. And hello, Elizabeth, because like when we're discussing Stephen Avery case, typically the people who follow, hello, Bryce, typically the people who follow Stephen Avery Project or MAM Gossip, we're all on the same page that Stephen Avery is innocent. Now, when I'm going to discuss the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that's going to be very different here. I want to remind everybody, yay, one of the Debbies is here. You are entitled to your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But you have to express it without attacking anybody else who is posting here or myself. If you can't do that, well, then we will remove your posts and block you from posting if need be. Okay? No bullying here. Hello, Addiction Mouse. In a non-Smurf way. For those of you that are joining on YouTube and may have never seen me do a live on Facebook, Facebook puts people in their Facebook jail for many different reasons. I am somebody who has a naughty mouth. And I am not saying that to express yourself, you can't use naughty words, because I am somebody who has a very vulgar vocabulary. And I don't know what the rules are here on YouTube, since I'm not very familiar with it. So I don't know if there's punishment if I say the naughty words. Meta jail, yeah. So on Facebook, what I would do is, instead of saying the naughty word, I will use the word Smurf. And so that may continue over here as well. So, but in your comments here, you can use a naughty word if YouTube allows it. You can replace it with Smurf if you would like. You just can't use any nasty language to another poster. Get what I'm saying here? All right. So let me get into my thoughts on the Rittenhouse trial. Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer. He murdered 2 people and attempted to murder a third. I don't care if somebody uses a self-defense excuse, or if a court or the judge or a jury acquits that person. He is a murderer. All right. So, that to me is not a gray issue. That just is what it is. He is a murderer. The prosecution did a horrible job. That's first of all. The prosecution used dirty tactics to try and convict who they think is a guilty person. Me being an advocate for the wrongfully accused, even though I believe Kyle Rittenhouse should be found guilty because he is a murderer, you can't doctor evidence to try to get that conviction. You so that's first of all, prosecution, horrible, did a horrible job. The judge, horrible job. Did many things that legal experts are all like, "Really? Just did that?" These are, very questionable behavior by that judge. Horrible judge. Jury, I don't care about a jury. I've said this time and time again. Jury isn't given all the facts. I saw, an article today, um, somewhere where somebody had said, the jury is the one that sees everything, they're in that court and it's hours and hours of court. No, they don't see everything. That's the whole thing with the manipulation of our system, where they're arguing about, we don't want the jury to see this and we don't want the jury to know that. Like one of the dumb things was the people who were murdered can't be referred to as victims, which they are victims. They were murdered. They are dead, or in the case of the third guy, his arm is severely damaged. Those are victims. I have 0 faith in our legal system, and it didn't used to be like that. I was somebody prior to seeing Making a Murderer on Netflix. I knew that the system wasn't perfect, but I had no reason to doubt if a police officer said XYZ. And that goes to what is called my white privilege, which is something that I know many people who are on the right side of the aisle. White privilege is a very triggering phrase for them. So you'll have a lot of white people that will say, I didn't have the greatest life. How can you say I've lived a privileged life? Well, that's not what white privilege means. White privilege just means that your life has not been made harder due to the color of your skin. So, me being a white person my entire life, growing up in the suburbs of Chicago, where I grew up, there wasn't very many people of color. Everybody kinda looked the same, that I have no reason to think the police have it out for anybody. I was not educated, and it wasn't until seeing Making a Murderer and what happened to Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey that my eyes were really opened. I was somebody who believed in the death penalty prior to that. And it's anybody who said that there was some kind of collusion with the cops or whatever, it's like, "Oh, these are just guilty people, saying and doing whatever they can to, defend themselves." I know differently now. And it's not like if you look at Stephen or Brendan that you go, "Oh, white privilege," again, in thinking "Oh, they've had the greatest life," that they grew up at a junkyard. But it really made me rethink everything, and somebody who has always been fascinated by true crime and reading all these books on different serial killers and whatnot, and watching 48 Hours and, all those different shows, and when I would watch them, I would just take what that show told me, like that's what happened in the case. And as I started looking into more cases and, advocating for more wrongfully accused, and then seeing episodes that were made on their case, and me knowing the real evidence and watching, like, their reenactments of, "That's not what happened." So now it had to make me question everything that I saw. So you really have to do your own looking into these cases. You can't go by any media, any form of it. It's something in the Stephen Avery case when people who think he's guilty that we refer to as guilters. And they're like, "You're just convinced by some one-sided, documentary." No, most people that I know that have been looking into the Stephen Avery case, they've looked at all the evidence, getting all the court documents, looking at videos, looking at interrogations, all that. And as I've said in a prior video, I have no loyalty towards Stephen Avery. I am not connected to him personally. So if I saw something in all of that that said he was guilty, I would say he's guilty. The more evidence I looked at, all the rocks I looked under showed him to be not guilty. So when you see these things on any case, not just wrongfully convicted, any case when somebody's being arrested, whatever is saying in the press, on social media, on TV shows, whatever, there's always more to it than we know. But in the Rittenhouse case, for me, that kid went there because he's somebody who likes his guns and wanted to be able to shoot at people. He lives in Illinois, Antioch, Illinois. He went to Kenosha, Wisconsin. For those that aren't from the area, it's not very far. Antioch is up near the border. So this isn't like he traveled cross country to go to this. Um, Kenosha, so where I am, Chicago suburb, Kenosha is only an hour drive for me from here. And I'm not at the border. I'm northwest suburb of Chicago. So it's really not far for Kyle to go there. And I have gone to many rallies and protests over the last 6 years. I have been to rallies and protests in Wisconsin. So I'm not faulting the kid for that, or trying to make that into a bigger deal. But he went there with a gun. When you hear these events that there ends up being rioting and looting, especially these ones that involved these cases where black people have been murdered or maimed by law enforcement. There Nobody's shooting anybody. They're doing the wrong thing. I do not agree with the looting and destroying people's businesses and all of that. I don't agree with it. But also, that's my white privilege. I'm not the person who of color who time and time again our country has made it so you're not equal. So w- I don't have that anger and that rage and that people won't see me. So you do naughty things so people will see you. But he brought a gun, and not just any gun, this AR-15 that he couldn't legally buy. I know the judge dismissed the gun charge and is using the technicality thing of that so there's short guns and long guns, and it's legal for kids to have a long gun because you're looking at it being a hunting rifle and that they can go kill deer and pheasant or whatever. It's not legal for him to buy the gun that he was walking around Kenosha with. That's why a 19-year-old friend purchased it for him. So, at the very beginning of all of this, the kid is doing something illegal. He's not allowed to own that weapon, but he cheated the system so he could have that gun. I'm not trying to take your guns. I'm for responsible gun laws. My husband is an NRA instructor. He teaches concealed carry. He has his license in every state that it's legal. My husband has a weapon on him at all times. Prior to meeting my husband, I was extremely anti gun. See, and this is why I say I'm a proud flip flopper. If you give me evidence to show why something I believe is wrong, I will admit I'm wrong. And it wasn't until meeting my husband that I now see a responsible gun owner, an avid gun collector who was raised by men who had were in the military. And they have these love of collecting firearms, but they're not bringing a firearm to a protest. I have gone to a shooting range with my husband, and I have shot an AR-15. I still feel don't know if my husband is watching, but I know I've said this to him. I still feel there is no need for an average person to own an AR-15. I see the fun in shooting them. So then why can't it be something that's like at a range and you can rent it when you're there to shoot it and have some rules or something around that? I I just don't think people should be able to own these guns. Or if you're going to allow people to own these guns, there has to be severe rules on them that you can't skirt around and go, "Well, it's the same length of a, hunting rifle, so it's okay if you have that." There has to be punishments that are followed. So, Kyle Rittenhouse went there with a gun. He said in an interview that is going to be airing tonight on some stupid thing that I'm not going to give any attention to, he believes in Black Lives Matter and the right to protest. I go to protests all the time. I organize protests all the time. Nobody brings guns. He is the one that made this a dangerous situation. He has no right to cry self defense when he is pointing a gun at people. So, no matter what those people are doing in self defense, that there is somebody walking around in the middle of them pointing a gun, they're doing it in defense of their lives and the people around them. They don't have guns, they're not armed. And I don't agree with if somebody is keying a car or slashing tires or burning a building that you get to just kill them. That doesn't match up. And you don't get to self deputize yourself. A 17-year-old boy. There are cops already there. Cops can deal with it or not. As it seems, cops in those instances only want to do things to people of color. Kyle Rittenhouse was able to walk around with this weapon, having just killed people, and the cops did nothing. I absolutely agree with the ACLU that Kenosha police are liable for this situation and should be sued and held accountable for the deaths and the maiming of those 3 victims. And then you have the trial that Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand lied time and time again. He says he's going to an Arizona college studying nursing. And right away, the day that he said that, the college said, no, he's not. He doesn't go here. And the kid was able to get away with that again. As for the victimizing the victims in talking about their prior problems with the law, maybe they weren't the best people in the world. It doesn't give Kyle Rittenhouse the right to murder them. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't know their police records before he shot at them. He's not judge, jury, and executioner. There are plenty of bad people in the world who have done bad things in their past. But also, didn't they do their time? Isn't that the way our system, our crappy system works? That they did their time, now they're free, and you're saying it's okay to kill them because X amount of years ago they did such and such? So then why do we ever let anybody go free? If once they're free, they're still supposed to continue to pay for the past crimes that they did time for. So, right, Kat, it doesn't give Kyle Rittenhouse the right to shoot and murder people because they did something bad. Then on the other side, when I talk about the Stephen Avery case, you got people that don't like Stephen for things that he did in his past. But just because Stephen was there when somebody murdered a cat does not mean he murdered somebody. So just because these victims did XYZ in their past doesn't give Kyle Rittenhouse the permission to murder them. It's not okay. I was not shocked by the verdict. I knew the kid would be found not guilty. It was clear to me that this court was not looking for justice. And it's so sad that that's what I see time and time again. I feel for those victims' families that Kenosha, Wisconsin said it was okay for this boy to murder their loved one. It was not okay. And I feel for the people of color who, even though the Kyle Rittenhouse case involves white people, the crux of it is still about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a great organization. People have demonized it and made it something it is not. When you see the news and people out rioting and looting, those are not Black Lives Matter people. They're people who are taking advantage of the situation to do bad things. Black Lives Matter was started by Black mothers due to the fear they live with every day that their Black sons will be murdered. And so, this case, when people were out marching on the streets because they were upset about Jacob Blake being shot multiple times by law enforcement, so people take to the streets, and a lot of the people who join these marches are white people, myself included. I have marched through Chicago with Father Flieger through some pretty bad neighborhoods. I do not fear the people I am marching with. It is the police and the people on the right from the Proud Boys who I have to fear. They are the ones that escalated to violence to hurt people. I truly hope that the United States goes after Kyle Rittenhouse. Laws were broken. And if Wisconsin is going to tweak things to let this murderer go free, I truly hope our federal government does the right thing. I'm thankful for the ACLU, who is going to not let this go. I have to wonder now, as an activist who does marches and rallies, who I have had my life threatened many times over the years. Do people feel this is an excuse now that they're going to be able to just kill me when I'm marching down the street and they can say, "Oh, I was afraid, self-defense." ACLU Gonk is a legal organization, um, who help people for their civil liberties, their civil rights. I actually used the Wisconsin ACLU years ago when I was organizing the first Manitowoc rally for Stephen Avery at the Manitowoc Courthouse, and the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department was trying to stop it. And so I went to the ACLU because I didn't know what to do, and, they handled it right away, and I was able to then have the rally, no problem, and no exorbitant fees that Manitowoc Sheriff's Department tried to get me to spend that I would have to pay, like, $2,000. Paid 0. So, the ACLU is a legal organization protecting people's civil liberties. Um, but it's something I have to think about now. I have the right to peaceful protest, just as those people in Kenosha had the right to peaceful protest. The people that loot and riot, I don't co-sign that. But then that doesn't give Kyle Rittenhouse the right to murder them. People who riot, destroy, vandalize property should be arrested and prosecuted and found guilty. And the people who murder people should be prosecuted. They're all wrong. It really is a scary time. I know that these Proud Boys go to these rallies trying to ramp people up to get it to violence. They're now in my area, they're attending all the school board meetings and making it very crazy and dangerous at these school board meetings. They don't have children at the school. They have nothing to do with it. But they're going from one school to one school or meetings where they're arguing about masks. They're arguing about a book that has LGBT person in it. Just all these things to try and cause all this outrage and chaos. And people then want to claim anything that is violent or scary is Antifa. Okay? Antifa is another word for boogeyman. doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Antifa. There is no organization called Antifa. Antifa stands for anti fascist. Fascist? Bad. So it's so laughable to me when people want to label the side that's against fascism, anti, against, negative, fascism, bad. So then they want to label them Antifa and make it out like those are the people doing these bad things, and they're not. So organizations that people categorize as Antifa. Here in Chicago, there is an organization, well, it's national across the United States. But I work with them a lot in Chicago, and they're called Refuse Fascism. Again, refuse fascism bad. All right. This is an organization who they and I don't agree on everything. You know, while I am somebody who is political and believe in the power of voting, and they don't. They feel the best way to handle things is to take the streets, get out on the streets. Let's protest. They're the ones that are going to do the sit ins. They're going to, stay on the street until they're forced to leave. But they're not violent. None of them have a weapon of any kind unless you're gonna count, when they drum as they're marching. But people look at this organization called Refuse Fascism, and they're like, "That's Antifa. They're bad." They're not bad, they're against bad politics. They're against a bad government, and they're gonna take to the street. Correct, Cat. Black Lives Matter. What is her name? I can't remember her name right now. I met one of the founders of Black Lives Matter at an event I went to, took a picture with her and heard her speak. She was fascinating. Learned a lot from her. And at that event, I heard not just her speak, it was also somebody who's become a huge hero of mine, is Dolores Huerta. So these powerful women who see injustice and aren't going to take it sitting down, but they're also not getting a gun. Organizing a march, it's just there's no guns, there's no weapons. I have gone to events. Yes, Alicia Garza. There you go, Gonk. Thank you very much. Um, I have gone. Let me just put it out there right now. I am a Democrat. Big shock. Do not like Trump at all. And while he was president, he went to, geez, was that Kenosha even? It's a factory, I think in Kenosha, Snap On. And I and some of my friends went to protest. A lot of the people there are pro Trump. You should have heard the things they yelled at me, and especially one of my best friends who is Chinese. I knew going to this event that I was going to be outnumbered by the other side. I knew there was a chance these people could get violent. I did not bring a weapon. My stupidity? Sure. Would I be justified then? when they're yelling these things, and they'll get right in your face. Their nose will touch your nose. They will shove me. They will try and take my sign. So if I shoot them, is that okay? I could say self-defense. I could say I was scared, but that person doesn't have a gun, and they're truly not going to kill me. They may wish me dead. I don't think it would be justified if I then kill that person. I went to this event knowing these people are not gonna like me. If Kyle Rittenhouse was so scared, there were police how far away from him? It's something my husband Jeff was talking to me about last night as somebody very pro 2A. You can't just be someplace in public and go, I'm scared now and I'm going to kill the people that are here. You have to retreat. A public business you have no attachment to. You do not have the right to defend. Jeff was explaining to me the whole castle law. Your home is your castle. Your home is your last place to retreat, the last line of defense. If somebody if somebody breaks your window, they're walking past your house and they break your window, but they're still walking by, you don't have the right to shoot them because they impose no threat to you. They're just walking by. If they break your window and come in, you can shoot them. You're in your home. You're not expected to have to flee your home. When you are out on a public street that you went there with a gun, knowing these people were going to be there, you can't now say, I'm afraid this is self defense. I had to shoot them. If somebody breaks into your home and you're now chasing them inside your home, firing a gun at them, if you shoot them in your house, that's the castle law. If they are able to get outside your house and are running down the street now, you can't shoot them. They're fleeing. You're in no danger. You have no right now to kill them, even though they were just in your house. If they were just in your house and they murdered your wife. You can't shoot them once they have fled your house. You do not have the right to do that. Kyle Rittenhouse does not have any excuse. He went there knowing he was going to inflame the situation. And anybody who now sees somebody carrying a gun, you can't say, oh, they're the aggressor because they were trying to now stop this guy who's shooting his gun. Good thought, Gonk. If he have permission to truly be at that car lot, though? I know it's been said, and it doesn't matter if he did have permission from that car lot. He is not somebody legally allowed to defend property. He was not a paid security guard of that business to defend the business. And still going just because if somebody walked by with a bat and hit a car doesn't mean you get to shoot them. It was vandalism. The police take care of it. You don't get to take care of it. Yeah, see, Kat, I've heard both things that the car lot owner has said he did not give permission. So I'm not sure which one is right. He was not legal to buy that gun, Jackpot, yet he still had it. I don't like the semantics game. If he's not legal to buy it, it should not be legal for him to carry it. And prove there were more people with guns than without them. You can't prove it. Just saying that doesn't make it so. I have been to these rallies and people don't have guns. Not saying everybody doesn't have them, but the majority of people do not have guns. Do not. Right. They dropped the charge just like what they have done to so many people who have been wrongfully accused that they didn't allow this or that or the other. Doesn't mean anything to me that they dropped the charge, that they used the semantics and said, well, okay, the AR-15, the length of the barrel is the same of a hunting rifle, so therefore he could carry it. It's not legal for him to purchase it. He's admitted it. His friend who purchased it said it, who had to then purchase him the gun. So if it is not legal for him to buy it, he should not be able to carry it. So don't care that that wackadoo judge dropped that charge. So, and Gonk, I don't care if that owner did give permission for them to be there. Still doesn't give you the right to murder people. My husband owns a business. He can't just crown his friends to say, "You're now protecting my business. Anybody comes here, you can shoot them." Nothing gives you the right to kill somebody. Jackpot, again, there's many videos. Like a war zone after Kyle Rittenhouse starts shooting people. Yep, sure, I can see that. Kyle Rittenhouse was murdering people. That's like a war zone, and the police allowed it to happen. So I also really don't care anything that the police have to say, but because they're complicit in this crime, and they should be charged as accessories to murder. Until we start charging our police, our sheriff's department, our district attorneys, our judges, everybody who covers up for crimes in the name of the law, they're going to keep doing it. His life wasn't in danger. Jackpot. Self defense says you can kill someone if your life is in danger, but his life wasn't in danger. So then, therefore, by your own sentence, it's not self defense. Is his life in danger of a plastic bag being thrown at him? And if it was so dangerous, how come the only people murdered were murdered by Kyle Rittenhouse? How come nobody else was shot that night? How come nobody from the other side didn't kill anybody? If they were such horrible people that he needed to fear for his life. So people can try and justify Kyle's actions just because maybe you don't like the politics of people generally on the other side of Kyle. He's a murderer and had no right to kill anybody. And if roles were reversed, the same people putting Kyle on a pedestal would demand the killer be hung. Hanged. I say hung, but I know it's hanged, right? And that's where I don't differ. is depending on what side of the aisle people are on for me. Facts are the facts, evidence is the evidence. Everything shows that he murdered those people. I don't know jackpot, I don't know what anybody has in their hand when I go to a rally, it doesn't mean I get to shoot them. I currently have an ex-police officer who has been stalking me for the last 2 months, who told me I better make sure that I do not push the wrong button because he has his concealed carry. I still go to a rally and he is still there in my face, and I don't have a gun, and it doesn't give me the right to shoot him just because he's making those threats to me. But I don't know what he has. He's told me he has his concealed carry, and he's a retired police officer, 26 years on the force. So, um, chances are pretty good he has a gun. I still would not be in the right to just go to the rally and shoot him. This man follows everything I do. He on Facebook keeps um getting rid of his Facebook page and starting a new one because I'll block him so he can come on my page again and make more threats. All the police department says is, "Yep, we know. We didn't want him part of our police department. We are glad he's gone. We know he has done this to multiple people." Nothing can be done. Basically, nothing can be done to this ex-cop until he shoots me. I don't have the right to do anything to him. He was chasing Kyle. It wouldn't be good if Kyle was caught by him. Who says? People are beat up on the street all the time. People are chased on the street all the time. Doesn't mean you're going to be shot. Right, Bryce? That cop has reached out to people that I am Facebook friends and said things to them as well. So I am being harassed all the time by this ex cop who carries a gun. And so when I see him the next time on a Saturday morning, do I get to just bring a gun and shoot him? Because I'm not sure when I'm gonna, as he says, push the wrong button and he's going to shoot me. So is it okay if I just go to a rally and before he does anything or shows anything, if I just shoot him and say, I was afraid? If Kyle felt his life was in danger, walk over to the cops. He didn't. Was Kyle scared? I'm sure he is. Sorry, my personal opinion is if you gotta walk around with a gun, you're a pussy. Sorry, Jeff, my husband. I don't care that he was being chased. Don't care. Doesn't mean you get to kill somebody. If you are afraid of the situation, then you never should have gone. He had no right to be there. You know there's a curfew. There is an 8 p.m. curfew. Go home. Curfew. Obey the law. He didn't obey that one either. Not gonna listen to the curfew. I'm still gonna roam the streets. 17 years old. Sorry, reading people's comments. People can justify it all they want. Still doesn't change that Kyle Rittenhouse murdered 2 people, tried to kill a third, and who knows how many more people he could have murdered. And all these people that they're saying he was afraid of, God, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get shot. Hmm. Yeah, curfew was for everyone. So everybody was out breaking the law. But Kyle, who's claiming he's there to do good things, he's blah, 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 he's cleaning graffiti. Why are you out there if you're feared? He had no right to murder those people. It is not self-defense. His life was in no danger. Any alleged danger he was in, he put himself there. He only shot people who were physically hurting him other than Rosenbaum, who threatened and then gave chase. The people who were trying to de-escalate the situation because they see some crazy kid with a gun. So they were trying to prevent a shooting. Who, look at the evidence, they were right. This guy murdered people. So trying to take that dude's gun is trying to prevent him from murdering people. And he murdered people. Oh, he's afraid of them, but nobody shot him. Nobody shot Kyle Rittenhouse. All these scary people that he had to defend his life from didn't shoot him. Oh, the majority of people had guns, but nobody shot him. Only one person shot people, and that was Kyle Rittenhouse, who then claims he was afraid of the people he murdered. I'm telling you right now, if roles were reversed, and also if this was a person of color, that person wouldn't have survived that night. Cops would have killed that guy. So Jackpot sees this as a bash Kyle and put the criminals on pedestals. What criminals have I put on a pedestal? Because the criminal is Kyle Rittenhouse. He's the murderer, and I'm not putting him on a pedestal. Put anybody on a pedestal. And then you saying criminals, who's criminals and why? So the people who are there past curfew? Well, then Kyle Rittenhouse is, the people who died are criminals. Why are they criminals? They have the right to peaceful protest. You're not a criminal for peaceful protest. They're out past curfew. So is Kyle Rittenhouse. So did Kyle Rittenhouse deserve to die because he's out past curfew? Are you trying to then go after these people for what has happened in their past that they went to prison for and have done their time? Or things that maybe were currently happening and that they're innocent until proven guilty? Is that how you're making them? So, yep, okay, so you're going by what Rosa Mom did to a child years previously. that he was prosecuted for. That case was over. So, and still saying, as I've already said in this video, doesn't matter what the victims have done in their life. They were murdered by Kyle Rittenhouse. So you can hate on the victims all you want for things they've done in their past. Doesn't change the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse murdered them. Just got out of the nut house for trying to kill himself. So doesn't give Kyle Rittenhouse the right to murder him. You can keep trying to victimize the victim. It doesn't change that Kyle Rittenhouse murdered people. We'll see what happens with the other case that's happening right now, the Ahmaud Arbery case. Guy was just jogging. Would jog the same path all the time and go look at this house that was being remodeled. Is he trespassing? Sure. People who own the house had video cameras put up there so they could see the people who were trespassing to look at the construction. Ahmaud wasn't the only person who went and looked at this construction. But he is then the black guy that a couple of white dudes chased down in their truck and gunned him down. People with guns who think it gives them the right to just kill people. Guy was just jogging and looking at the construction and would stop and see what the progress was of the construction. I get it if the people who own the house didn't want him there or anybody there, not just Ahmaud. I'd go look and check it out. Doesn't give somebody the right to kill him. Oh, when they're chasing him down and running up to him, he fought back. Doesn't give you the right to shoot him. You're chasing him. So, like Kyle Rittenhouse, these are men who had no right to police the public and to then just kill people for what they feel they're doing wrong. It's such a scary world. I'll probably do a live video after the Ahmaud Arbery case. I know I was just sent today by that organization I talked about earlier, Refuse Fascism, that they are going to take to the streets at 5 p.m. in Chicago on whatever day that ruling comes in. So there will be rallies for that. Um, so whatever the ruling is, we will probably do a live and discuss that case. Again, I never have any faith in our system. So if those people are found guilty, great, but I just never expect our courts to rule the correct way, whether or not it is somebody who is innocent that's found guilty or guilty people found innocent. So I don't know when that day will be. Our next live is scheduled for Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central. We're going to be starting videos every Wednesday at 1 PM, Central Chicago time. And I always record 2020, Dateline, all those kinds of shows. And so the two that were on this past Friday night had two cases that now after watching those I want to talk about. And that you can watch them on demand places. So the 2020 episode was on the Turpin family, and then I think it was Dateline episode was on the Drew Peterson case, which the Turpin case I had heard something about, but I didn't ever look into it or know really anything on it. The Drew Peterson case happened in my area, literally 2 towns over from me. And my mom went to school with the murderer. She went to grade school through high school with the murderer. Um, so I want to discuss those 2 cases. So that's what we will be talking about this Wednesday at 1 PM Central Time, Chicago time. So I'm going to end this video now on the Rittenhouse case. And I will see you all on Wednesday to talk about those 2. So watch them if you can find them in the meantime, so we can all chat together on those. Ooh, gonk, Peterson is guilty. We'll talk. We'll talk Wednesday. All right. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon.